Okay, ang ating storyteller number 7 is Ginny Mata. She tells us about how she escaped from a failed marriage by taking comfort in the earth's bounty. In her story entitled The End of Love in the Time of COVID.
Hello. Thanks, John. So, Bok, that was wonderful. The story you just told, and slightly scary as well. So, how to transition from that? Well, as the title of my story indicates, I will talk about the end of love. During a global pandemic known as COVID-19. Whether we like it or not, we will be known as the COVID-19 generation. Okay? We have wrought so many losses from this pandemic. Thousands of lives, jobs, even institutions and establishments we thought would be there forever, like Chef Wayas or Chocolate Kiss and UP Diliman. And add to that list relationships, including marriages. Okay? I am part of that list of casualties, but maybe it's not really dead yet. No, they just comatose. But I don't, again, like Agatha, no, for legal reasons, I do not want to get into the details of it here. Perhaps in a best-selling book sometime in the future, where this will all be written down. Okay, so don't worry, right? So, but I want to focus on what's gotten me through the pain of losing a relationship. Okay, and the grief as well. It's a kind of death, as if you think about it. So it's been difficult for anybody who's gone through a separation. It's very, very difficult. Okay, it's extremely difficult during a global pandemic. So, what did I do to move beyond that, to transcend the grief and the sadness and the pain? Okay, well, like Dean, okay, I involved myself in things I wouldn't usually involve myself in. Okay, number one of which, okay, is gardening. But actually, my entire life, I've been surrounded by gardens, surrounded by them. And I'm so lucky to have that. So when I was a child, I didn't think of gardening as gardening per se, but as simply playing in the dirt. So my dad would teach me how it's important to nurture and condition your soil, because your soil is everything in gardening. If your soil is not good, if the material in which you're going to plant your seeds in is not fertile and fertile and nourishing, full of nutrients, the plants won't grow. So everything begins with the soil. And in the soil are earthworms and helpful insects. There are such a thing. And those insects are called ladybugs. Okay, so when you see a ladybug in your garden, she's your friend. Okay, for some reason, plants grow better when there are ladybugs in your garden. And then, so especially in light of, the what could be the end of my marriage, I'm not quite sure yet. I started gardening like anyone's business. Basically, I became the biggest plantita out there. Okay, so like I went full on plantita. Like I became brown and super duper tan from all the gardening I was doing. It's only now that the tan has faded because it's the rainy season. Okay, so I had a schedule where I would wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and just go directly to my garden and get my hands in the dirt and pull out the weeds and do the watering if it was necessary, etc., etc. Okay, so and then when I would have like insects and pests, right? Like I would take it personally. I would take it personally if a snail was eating my basil. I would be very, very angry at the snail. Okay. It became an emotional thing. Okay. And then, when I would see um, caterpillars, I would be angry, but at the same time, I knew that, they would turn into butterflies someday. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So eat my leaves. If when you become a butterfly, you'll pollinate my plants anyway. So when you have a garden, you learn to coexist with nature. That includes like understanding the symbiosis of things in the world. Okay. So por ejemplo, you have caterpillars in your garden who will eat the leaves because they need it to nourish themselves. But at the same time, if you're patient enough, you know, they will turn into the butterflies that will pollinate your plants, which will make them yield more flowers and more fruits. Okay, so there, right? And then so yeah, since I was a child, my father taught me these things, but I didn't really internalize them until you know I was diagnosed with a condition called multiple sclerosis in 2015. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what multiple sclerosis is, it's basically a chronic, debilitating illness for which there is no cure. If you Google multiple sclerosis, their image search will yield pictures of people in wheelchairs. Okay? Because what happens is that the myelin sheath of my nerves are slowly being eaten away, no, by my overactive immune system. So what does that mean? There are white spots in my brain. So that indicate where the nerve cells have died. And every single white spot is a symptom, like chronic pain, chronic fatigue. Yeah. And with that, people who have multiple sclerosis have a much greater chance of having clinical depression and severe anxiety disorder. So actually, because I've been, I have to watch my energy levels. So I can't go out as much as I used to. No, before I was going out all the time, but now I can't because since I was diagnosed because I suffer from chronic pain. What kind of pain is it? Okay, it's as though my entire body is on fire. Yeah, from the tips of my toes until the tips of my fingers. I can't feel these three fingers anymore. I'm still walking, thank God, and that is a blessing. Yeah. And I think I'm still walking because I've really taken good care of myself. Um, like not pushing my body, listening to it. When it's tired, I rest. And I don't feel guilty about it anymore. I used to, because I used to be a real workaholic. No, so but when I was diagnosed with MS, I had to slow down. And then second, I'm used to staying in. So actually, living the lockdown life is my life to a certain extent, no? That I'm okay staying home. And home is where my garden is. Okay. So I decided to make my garden my project. Yeah. So I wanted it to be a healing garden, unconsciously or consciously, but it was inevitably healing anyway by its very nature. And I will show you a slideshow presentation just so you can witness how absolutely healing it is to be in a garden with your hands in the earth. Okay. Can I share screen? Yeah. Right. Oh, please work. Okay. So these are mornings. These are mornings in my garden. In those trees are a colony of birds that have lived there for over 40 years. Okay? So that's duhat and rambutan and malunggay. And that's my kaffir lime tree, which I'm so proud of. Okay? And that's patola growing all over the place. Okay? And there's rambutan. And that is a kainito tree, if I'm not mistaken. And ampalaya leaves, etc. Then we move to the next slide, which is, this is my other garden. Yes, that's how lucky I am. I have 3 gardens. It's amazing. Okay, so this is my garden number 1 in front. So if you can see, that is a laurel plant that is as taller than the house. Like, what? It's a miracle. It just keeps on growing. And, you know, but we can't harvest from it because it's so high, but it's okay because we have another laurel plant. Okay, and then this one is our sitting area. So growing there are blue butterfly pea flowers leaves. Okay, now like I told you, soil is everything. So this is one of the wonderful things about being a gardener is watching things grow, just watching it grow. And it's here you have the, you know, you put, actually, the act of planting a seed is an act of hope because you don't know if it's going to grow, but you have faith that it will. So gardening makes you, imbues in you a sense of hope. Okay, so here are little baby seedlings of Genovese basil and lemon basil. So that's my dad who did that. I can't take credit for it. I'm just the documenter for these things. Yeah, this is what I'm telling you about. So that snail ate all my basil. So I take it personally. All right. Unfortunately, the only way to eliminate them from your garden is to step on them. Yes. There's just no way around it. And those are butterfly eggs. Like I said, no, those are actually, to be precise, lime swallowtail butterfly eggs right there on my kaffir lime leaf plant. And then, you know, they will hatch and then they will become these beautiful creatures. This photo is by Jar Conseco. If he's on there, thanks, John, because my garden was featured on ANCX. So, see, look at that. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? This is, I mean, even if you can't, you know, go to the mall or whatever, you know, but you're surrounded by this beauty and it's yours. It's just something else, you know, but it's not really yours at the same time because it's God's or the universe's. Next. These are my kaffir limes. Yes. Oh, we're wrapping up. Sorry. All right. So thank you. I'm the only one who overwent my thing. Yes. So gardening is a miracle because it makes you realize what a gift life is. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jean. Ayan.
Ayan,
Thank you for
I'll
your
stop
gift of
share.
wisdom.
Yeah. Okay. I
Yes.
will stop
Sana makita naman namin yung garden mo in the future. Oo,
Yeah.
kasi gusto
More
namin makita
there.
yung iyong sinabing ini-eksperimentohan mo ngayon na the hottest ano yan?
Carolina
Pinakamaanghang.
Reaper. Yeah. How do
Carolina Reaper. You're
Yes.
developing it or you're parang breeding it?
We have the plant. We're waiting for it to bear fruit.
Naku, hindi ako naniniwala sa sinasabi mo na merong pinakamaan. That's so silly.
Wait, how do
Anyway.
Sorry.
Maraming salamat, Ginny. Mag-aaral ako ng gardening sa iyo dahil wala po ako alam talagang itanim. Ang kaya ko lang itanim sama ng loob at saka galit. Thank you. But I don't know kung nandiyan ka sa garden mo, Ginny, because sometimes she's not in her garden. She is either baking or writing and doing many things. She lives in the quote-unquote boondocks of Fairview, Quezon City, where she has her garden not only of fruits and vegetables, but also of joy and hope. Maraming salamat muli.